Food has always been Trista's comfort, but at over 600 pounds, it's slowly killing her.
I am currently doing what I do when I can't cope. I can't believe I'm showing this, but that right there is what I call a meal. Those are ribs, beef brisket, barbecue chicken. That's macaroni and cheese. That is banana pudding.
That's not a catering order. That's Trista's Tuesday. And before you judge her, you need to hear what happened to her. Because the woman sitting there surrounded by all that food isn't lazy. She's heartbroken. And she's been heartbroken for so long, she forgot what normal even feels like. To understand how she got here, you have to go way back to a little girl who just wanted a father.
I had a caring mother, but my mom, she had 3 girls. We all had different fathers. So I never met my dad. And being able to see my other siblings interact with their dads, I struggled with that a lot.
From a very young age, Trista understood what it felt like to be overlooked by the people who were supposed to love her most. For a little girl, watching her sisters laugh and play with their fathers while hers was nowhere to be found really leaves a mark. Then when Trista was 4 years old, her mother remarried. And for a moment, Trista had hoped that he'd be the father figure she never had. Someone who could fill that gap. But he didn't.
My stepdad treated me like because I wasn't his child. I can remember like my little sister would always get picked up at my stepdad's arms and he would never pick me up.
Her stepdad said she was too big. She was just a little kid, and the man who was supposed to fill the void left by her own father was already making her feel like she was undeserving of affection. That kind of pain stays with you. And that's when food came into the picture. It became Trista's way of coping with everything she couldn't control. By high school, she was 200 pounds. By the time she left high school, her weight had spiraled, and the emptiness she'd carried since childhood wasn't letting go.
After high school, I was over 400 pounds. I was still feeling unloved, and that I couldn't even really count on my mom. But year after year after year, I went out seeking validation and love from men.
But she kept looking, and eventually she found someone who loved her.
But I did find someone. We dated for about 12 to 13 years, and then we were happily married.
Not long after that, Trista found out she was pregnant. She describes that moment as the happiest she had ever been in her life. And you have to understand what that means coming from her. This is a woman who grew up without a father and spent years looking for love in the wrong places. Now she had a husband, a home, and a baby on the way. For the first time, the life Trista had spent years aching for was finally starting to take shape. But nothing could have prepared her for what happened next.
I was over 400 pounds, and it never crossed my mind that this pregnancy would end early due to my weight. So at 26 weeks, I went into labor. My son, he ultimately passed about 11 days afterwards.
Being overweight during a pregnancy carries high risks. But instead of that realization pushing her toward change, it destroyed her. She internalized all of that guilt and blamed herself. 7 months later, her marriage was over. There's no villain in that part of the story, just two people grieving in ways that didn't line up anymore. She lost everything she loved in less than a year, and she had no idea how to come back from that. So she went into her apartment and didn't come out for 2 years. And the only thing she let in was food.
It was like a job I had where I ate 8 hours a day and I slept the rest.
In 2 years, she went from around 400 pounds to over 600. She wasn't just eating to cope anymore. She was slowly killing herself with food. And deep down, she knew it. Then one day, her body gave out.
I did not know that she was eating the way that she was eating. And one day she was having a hard time breathing. And I think she realized she would not be around much longer unless things change.
Sitting in that hospital, hearing doctors tell her she wouldn't be around much longer, was the wake-up call she couldn't ignore. So Trista reached out to Dr. Now.
But now I can't do anything with this weight. I'm ready to change, Dr. Now. I know I'm worth it.
When Trista finally walked into Dr. Now's office, she stepped on the scale and it read 634 pounds. That's where she started from. But Trista had a weight goal in mind.
And so, what is your objective coming to Houston?
I want to get better food habits so that I can be like 200 pounds.
200 pounds?
Yes, sir.
Dr. Now didn't sugarcoat it. She was 434 pounds away from that goal. But he didn't shut it down either. He told her it was possible and gave her the roadmap, with 3 goals to achieve in the first 2 months. First, to lose 50 pounds in 2 months. Second, to start walking, simply making it to the trash can at the end of her parking lot and back. And third, to see a therapist and a nutritionist. The plan was clear. The tools were there. Now it was all on Trista. She got to work. During her therapy appointments, the main focus wasn't just the eating, it was everything underneath it. The therapist helped Trista understand that as long as she kept living in the past, the food was always going to win. The goal was to stop isolating herself, start letting people in, and learn to cope with life without turning to food every time something got hard. For someone who had spent 2 years alone in an apartment, that was no small ask. Then came the walking.
I'm about to try and do my Dr. Now goal and take out the trash on my own.
Sounds simple, right? But for a woman carrying over 600 pounds who hadn't left her apartment in 2 years, walking to the end of a parking lot was genuinely hard.
Come on. Come on. Up. Wrong way. Wrong way. Wrong way.
I did it, damn it.
No, you didn't. That's your car. That's the trash can.
Can you help me with it?
Oh, you just gonna walk in the car.
Her first attempt, she didn't make it. Got winded halfway and had to stop. But a few weeks later, she went back out and tried again.
Get it, girl. Yes. It's amazing. Go here. Oh. Okay.
Take the trash out.
How you feel?
Feel good. Got it now? I did it.
Yes, you did.
I did it. I did it.
Feeling proud of herself for making it all the way there and back, Trista felt remotivated and started doing all of the home exercises Dr. Now assigned her. But when she showed up for her second appointment 2 months later, she weighed in at 620 pounds. She'd only lost 14 pounds in 2 months. And Dr. Now wanted answers.
I read your book. I've been trying to do the 1,200 calories. It is hard.
Dr. Now didn't dismiss her progress, but made it clear it wasn't enough.
You're eating less, but not a whole lot less. I'm glad you're doing that and you made some progress. So the reality is you're still eating at least 5,000 calories a day.
Dr. Now also told her to start keeping a food journal and to write down everything, including the slip-ups. He gave her a new target to lose 40 pounds in the next 2 months. The message was clear. She needed to do a lot more, especially on her diet. But outside of the diet goals, Trista did something that took real courage. She gathered her friends and family and held a celebration of life for the baby she lost, her son, King. And this mattered more than most people realized, because Trista never got to give King a proper funeral. This was her chance to finally get some closure and start living again.
When I lost King, I lost a part of myself. I stayed in the house. I didn't come out for 2 years. I almost died. I didn't care about myself. The only thing I cared about was eating. Life was really over.
2 months later, she was back in Dr. Now's office. And this time she was hoping for a better outcome. But when she stepped on the scale, things took a different turn.
603.
Trista weighed 603 pounds. She had only lost 17 pounds in 2 months, and 31 pounds in total since her very first appointment 4 months ago. This time around, Dr. Now didn't sugarcoat it.
It will take 4 to 5 years to lose what you need to lose, and your body would not last that long, okay?
If she had followed Dr. Now's diet plan, she would have easily lost 30 pounds in 1 month. Instead, it took her 4 months to do so. But Dr. Now didn't give up on her. He gave her one final chance with a goal to lose 15 pounds in the next month.
Since you made some progress, I'm going to give you another chance.
Thank you.
But you have to do the hard work.
1 month later, Trista was back. This was her last shot. And now it all came down to the number on the scale.
I'm in Houston with my mom again for my next appointment, but I'm just nervous because Dr. Now says this is my last chance.
She had lost just 5 pounds in a month. The goal was 15. And Dr. Now broke it down for her plainly.
In 5 months, she have lost 35 pounds. So nothing we can do to help you to change.
Please don't give up on me.
I never give up on people, but they have to be ones to make the changes they need, or there's nothing I can do.
Dr. Now removed her from the program, but he didn't completely close the door. He made therapy and the nutritionist available to her, and told her that if she could lose 40 pounds on her own in 2 months, he would consider moving forward with her. For Dr. Now, that's actually rare. When he removes someone from the program, it's usually over. Luckily, Trista wasn't discouraged. It gave her hope to move forward in one way or another.
I know my weight issues are emotional, so I'm still working with Jewel to do therapy. I want to show Dr. Now that I can do this. I want to put a smile on his face. No matter what, I'm gonna get healthy.
Trista didn't get the weight loss surgery she hoped for coming into the program. But she walked out of this journey with emotional closure. She finally made peace with her past. And for someone who'd been stuck in the same dark place for 3 years, that was a big first step towards meaningful change. Not every story ends where Trista's did. The next video on your screen is about a patient named Caleb who weighed over 800 pounds at just 20 years old and left looking like a completely different person.